All right. Excited to get another opportunity to step on the field. I mean, I feel like obviously we played game one versus Oklahoma State. Then we turned around and played another game one versus Central Florida. And then now we're turning around and playing another game one versus South Florida. It's kind of that break feel, just trying to keep things rolling and moving and improving and doing the things that we need to do to continue to grow as a team. And so much of that comes with just playing games. And so we're excited to have the opportunity to go play again. Obviously, we're back on the road, got a long trip in front of us. And I think with a team, obviously new coaching staff, but a great coaching staff, I think Coach Scott is doing a tremendous job, gone against Glenn Spencer a ton of different times, and I know how fantastic he is as a defensive coordinator. So I think they're learning their team and continuing to grow, and that's what you can see on tape. You see their team getting better each and every week. They're starting to get some guys back. I don't know if it's because of virus or injuries or what it might have been, but you're seeing some different faces kind of fall back into that. And so you know how talented South Florida has always been and will continue to be, and it's always a tough place to go play. But I know our guys are just ready to get back on the field and get an opportunity to compete and play again. So excited about it, looking forward to it, and like I said, just ready to play.
Have you tweaked? Go ahead, Kelly. Sorry. I'm sure, with the disappointment of last week, how do you sort of channel that into, a positive, like a motivating sort of factor?
Yeah, I think for us, and we kind of kept this philosophy from day one, try to control the things that we can control. And obviously there's been a lot of things that have been out of our control, yet, we're going against each other quite a bit in practice, but you're trying to, really do a good job of walking that fine line between what's too much, what's not enough, because you don't want to get somebody hurt in practice, kind of leading up to these games, and they're so all vitally important. And so you're trying to walk that fine line. But I think our guys, they were frustrated and disappointed last week. They were really excited about the opportunity of Cincinnati coming in. Now we just got to rechannel that part of it and put our focus on South Florida, who we know is going to be an extremely difficult test on the road. And so I think they've done a good job of really kind of locking back in, new game plan, new system going through, and trying to really improve ourselves each and every day.
Did some of that disappointment show itself on the practice field in any way? Was there a bit of a dip, after, finding out they weren't going to be able to play, and then see it ramp back up, or have they been pretty full throttle, ever since?
Obviously I think there's some emotions that were involved last Thursday when it got canceled. For us, we didn't even practice that day. We took that day to really, we had a meeting, able to sit down and talk that way from a team standpoint. Then we did it in positional meetings, and then really said, hey, the rest of the day I want you to just focus on school. We got a lot of midterms and things that were going on. Give us some time to kind of process this, give you all time to process this, and then let's put our focus tomorrow. We kind of had that 24-hour rule. Let's put that away and then put our focus right here on South Florida. And our guys have done a really good job at that. We've had good practices. Obviously, they're tired of practicing. They're wanting to play games. And so they've done a good job of bringing energy every day. And, their focus and their intent has been really good. So now we just got to put it all back together, do it on the field again.
Coach, you look even just at the records of these two teams. You've only played 2 games. They played 5. Is it uneven footing to be playing with this, kind of different amount of games that have been played by the two teams?
I mean, yes, it is. Yet, we just want to play, right? So, throw all the rest of that out. I mean, it's crazy as you sit and I got an opportunity to watch a few games this weekend, right? And as you're seeing all the different records out there, I mean, we got teams fixing to play their 6 games, and we've got teams that have only played 1 or 2. And so, you learn so much about your team and the experiences that you gain by playing in games. You can't recreate that anywhere. And so for us, yeah, they're 6 games into it, and they are fixing to be 6 games into it, and they've got probably a pretty good feel of their personnel and where they're at and continuing to grow and develop each week. And for us, we're still kind of learning where we are and what we're doing from the standpoint of just it's a new team and you've only played 2 games with them. So luckily we've got some experience coming back, and that has been beneficial, obviously. But again, this team and every team is always a new deal, and you've got to learn about your team and how it's going to progress through things.
Even just that, having the different kind of games played and everything else that's going along with playing during a pandemic, is this the biggest challenge in your coaching career?
Yeah, I'd probably say yes to that. I mean, just with the amount of changes that have happened, schedule changes, just the way everything's going through practices and the way you've had to adjust those schedules. And then, you got the testing that's going on and, just the uncertainty maybe of each and every day of what's this day going to bring. And, we're still kind of playing our way through let's get to lunch, see what happened in the morning, and then let's adjust to what's going to happen in the afternoon. And for us, that's kind of our new way of life. So yeah, it's been challenging for sure.
You think it adds? Go ahead, Morgan.
Yeah, Coach, before the season, when you're kind of preparing for all these situations and knowing anything could pop up, I think it's like you and Houston that have been affected the most. I think only 2 games for both of your teams. Could you even imagine, I guess, this level of problematic, I guess, scheduling? I guess that would affect you, I guess, worst case scenario almost for that you guys had to go through so far?
As far as imagining, I don't know that you really could imagine it, but, you wanted to be prepared for it. And, how do you get prepared for it? I don't know. I don't know if we've done it the right way or not. We'll see at the end of the year, I guess. But, yeah, the way it has affected and to see, obviously teams that were on our schedule that, have played now 5 games and we're still stuck at 2 and really didn't have any control over any of that. Those are the things that are probably the most frustrating when you kind of sit back and think about it.
Does it add to the frustration that it seems like a lot of the guys on this team feel like this is a group that's on the verge of kind of showing everybody in this conference and maybe even the country, that they've turned a corner and, are capable of big things this year? Does that just add to the frustration of having 5 of your first 6 games monkeyed with?
Yeah, I think so, Caden. I mean, I think we have the potential of being a good team. And I think our players are really feeling that. But it's hard to build that momentum and confidence and, just being able to go out there on the field and get it done. And the only way you get to do that is playing games. And I think our team is anxious because of that part of it. Just we feel like we've got some really good pieces together right now that are really starting to gel and form. But to do that, we've got to be able to play games and see where this is going to lead us.
You mentioned watching some games on Saturday. I was going to ask about your Saturday. What you do, yard work or family time, or how much football did you watch? How have you spent your last couple Saturdays?
Well, our guys have been up in the mornings, and so we've done a kind of a lift yoga type workout thing with them. Got a chance to be around them, spent probably the majority of the morning and probably half of the afternoon. And we spend up here game planning and working and then kind of go home kind of mid-afternoon and get an opportunity to kind of watch some games. And, for me, I kind of treat it like it's an opportunity to kind of learn and get better every time. Try not to watch it as a fan, but try to watch it as as certain situations pop up in certain games, how coaches reacted to this and that and, how we can implement that in what we do or how I can implement that in our game management parts of it. And so, trying to learn and get as much game type experiences as you can, even though you're not doing it on the field, just trying to manipulate that in a different way.
Coach Montgomery, going off of that, do you, with other teams in the conference, if they're not playing, do you reach out to other coaches to pick their brains? I mean, maybe not just in your conference, but have you talked to other coaches that are off as well?
Yeah, I mean, you've been able to kind of bounce ideas kind of from a scheduling standpoint, kind of what are y'all doing? How are you handling some things? This is what we're doing. And, that's how you kind of learn and help each other. So we've been able to do some of that and, we'll continue to do that. you're going to ask questions like that during this pandemic type of era, right? You're probably not going to talk a whole lot of ball, but you'll talk scheduling.
With the way that you guys have lost a couple of games, it was Thursday last week. Going through the week, is it always in the back of your mind or your players' minds, we might not play this way? Do you only feel comfortable once you're like at the stadium of the game?
That's when you feel the most comfortable, for sure. I mean, this is finally really happening. As you're leading up to it, it's kind of in the back of your mind, but you don't want to really talk about it that much. You want to really focus on your opponent and not worry about the ifs, ands, what ifs, those type of deals, because you can lose focus on what we've got to do, which is, get mentally and physically ready to play a very tough South Florida team. So, for us, our focus has been there.
Coach, even in a loss against South Florida, they were able to put up some considerable points against Temple. Johnny Ford in the backfield has been pretty good so far this season. And then their quarterback, McLeod, I believe he had 3 touchdowns against the Owls. Just tell me about how you're going to be able to stop them.
Yeah, they've been playing all 3 of those quarterbacks for most of the year, and then it looks like they've settled in on McLeod, and I thought he played a really good ball game last week, obviously versus a team that has done some really good things in our conference in Temple. And so I thought he really managed the game extremely well. I thought he made some really timely throws. Like you said, Ford is Ford. I mean, he's electric out of the backfield. You put the ball in his hands, and he is, jump cutting, spinning, moving. He's just difficult to tackle. He's not a big running back, but he is electric with the ball in his hands. And they've done a good job as far as using him in the passing game and creating some different matchups with him. And so we've got to really do a good job of being assignment sound, do a good job of getting him in down and distance situations to where we can pressure and do some things and really maybe amp up the pressure that we're getting on the quarterback a little bit. They've got a veteran kind of offensive line that I think is kind of working their way back into it. I think they've had some guys out here and there, and I think that line is starting to come back in there, but they're big and they can move. And like I said, they've got experience. So they've got threats. That. I mean, you look at their 2 receivers on the outside, they've done a really nice job in Williams and Dukes. And then, they got the big tight end that you can't lose track of. And so they've got weapons. We've got to do a really good job of being assignment sound and locking things down.
You mentioned walking that fine line in terms of preparation. I assume making sure your team is sharp, but also not pushing them too much. And when you get thrown off your regular game week schedule that you've used, for years and years, how do you know when and where to push your guys and what they need on a given practice day?
Well, I think we as a staff, we're always sitting down and talking about it and trying to make sure that within our practice schedule that we're getting enough of that work, kind of that good on good, but being smart with them. Especially when you don't have games, there's certain points in that practice where you want the energy level to turn up, right? And you want kind of to create as much game type of energy as you can, but you got to walk the fine line of taking care of each other while you do it. I think having some older guys, especially on the defensive side of it, just to understand, hey, I'm going to put myself in a position to make this tackle, but, I'm going to thud it up and let it go instead of just driving through that. We've been physical. I think that's been a staple of our program, but especially this year, our guys are doing a good job of that when it comes game time. So it's not one of those things where I'm worried about how we're going to tackle. I think our guys have done a good job of that, and we will be physical. So for us, it's about getting ourselves in the right position to make those plays and then being smart about how we take care of each other in practice.
With South Florida struggling on defense, I believe around 33.5 points, is it basically the mindset to give Smith the ball and just say, let's get this going in the first half and, not start slow? I mean, what's your thought process with the defense that's struggled?
Yeah, every week we want to start fast, right? And that doesn't change this week. For us, our last 2 ball games, we have not started fast offensively, and that's been a point of emphasis for us during this time, is being able to come out and really execute at a high level. I think, you look at it, especially they've done a good job of creating some turnovers. You look at Glenn Spencer and what he did last year at FAU. I think he led the country in turnover margin. So, he does a great job of creating situations to allow his defense to have turnover opportunities, and they do a good job of capitalizing on that. We've got to do a good job taking care of the football. We got to sustain drives. We got to stay on the field on third down. We got to protect the football. But we do need to get off to a much better start, and that has been a point of emphasis for our offense during this break, lapse, however you want to call this time period that we've been in.
I know everybody in this league has to travel a long way, and so this will be your third game and your second trip to Florida, which is, I think, like more than 1,200 miles or whatever. And I just wonder, when you were at Baylor, it was far more regional, and I can't remember exactly what the league was like when you were at Houston, but just when it's that long a trip, I don't know how much that might set guys behind with academics or how you use that time wisely. I just wonder, you've done it long enough that you probably have a pretty good formula for that, but what are the extra challenges that go with an extreme road trip?
Yeah, anytime you're going to Florida, right? And even when we go up to Navy, that's a really, really long trip. We used to go travel up there to UConn. I mean, there's some traveling involved in this conference for sure. From a school standpoint, when these weeks are coming and you're trying to prepare and try to get ahead and really do a good job with your players from that standpoint. The toughest part too is the ride home, right? So you're not getting in until 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and then what's your schedule going to be like the next day? Because when you're coming in, sun's coming up. So what's it going to be like when you're going to bring your players back up? What's the amount of recovery time that you really need before you get back on the field? You look at this week, we've got a Friday game. We turn around the next week, we've got another Friday game. So you got to get some things done and prepared and ready, and your practice schedule changes because, obviously Mondays here are very difficult to get a practice in because of the class schedules that we have. So, you got to work through all of those scheduling and kind of time restraints that you have to make sure that, again, our student athletes are true student athletes, and the student part of it, you've got to do a great job here to get that done. I mean, is that your bedroom, Caden, or is you in some fancy hotel somewhere?
No, this is our guest room, Coach. If you ever need a place to stay.
I mean,
my wife made me put this. Bruce said it looks like an aquarium behind me. She would be really upset.
You tell your wife it's beautiful. It really is.
She'll love hearing that. Yeah, I'm recording this.
She charged some good big time money to stay in your guest house.
I think you just made her day. Airbnb.
It looks like he's in witness protection program. Got the ball cap on, the shades. I mean, I thought his voice was going to come out different. I didn't know.
Hey, how I feel like this offense could do some big things, but it does need a rhythm and reps and stuff. How has the offense and Zach looked in practice the last couple of weeks?
I think we're taking some really, really positive steps, Caden, and I agree with you. I think we have the potential of being a potent type offense, but we need games and we need reps in games, and we need that type of exposure to really allow us to grow and develop and get to the next step. And so, you continue to push and you continue to do the things in practice. And luckily we get to go against in my opinion, an extremely aggressive, physical, tough defense in our own defense every day. But at some point in there, you've got to do it with things on the line and do it underneath the lights, and it's just different come game time. So, I think we have the potential of being really good offensively, but we just need to go out there and we need to do it on the field and continue to grow as an offense.
All right, last one for me. I could tell by some of the Twitter comments from some of your players that they were amped for this Cincinnati game and really disappointed that they lost it. I mean, that's a team that was number 8 in the country, and everybody knows that program. And, USF is getting better, but, it's been a struggle so far. I think I see improvement with those guys, but it's been rough so far. Do you worry at all going from the excitement of getting ready for those guys to a team that's 1-4, but getting better at the same time? Do you see that as a tricky situation for you?
Honestly, I don't, because, and you're right, our guys were amped, juiced. I mean, they were in a really good mindset. And who knows what would have happened against Cincinnati, but I will tell you, our team was ready to play. But I'm not concerned about them looking at South Florida and they're not the number 18. You know what I'm saying? Our guys are just excited to actually get to go play a game again. And I think for them, they understand about getting on the field and getting a chance to execute and compete. And you never know when that's going to get taken away from you. So we better savor every opportunity we have. Don't take one for granted. And this is a team that athletically, they got cats, they got dudes, and they have always. And, we're going to have to play extremely well to get a win on the road at their place. And so I think our guys are locked into that, and knowing that we get a chance to compete. This is a very, very, very talented team that is coming together. And again, they're fixing to play game 6. We're fixing to play game 3. So they've got the edge when it comes to that part of it. So we better be ready to play.
Well, Sam, we saw some of the Twitter responses from you guys on Thursday when the word came down that the Cincinnati game wouldn't be played. Coach just said that you guys were sky high and in a really good state mentally for that game. How tough was it to see it called off as much as you were looking forward to it?
It was disappointing. You put in all this work all week, and then really last minute on Thursday, you get the call the game's canceled. So it's just like you're really high, then you hit real low in a hurry. So it's discouraging, but we gotta adapt and move on to the next opponent.
How long would you say it took you to kind of bounce back from it?
I won't lie to you. We got the text message, we had a team meeting last minute, and you got a sense of what it's about. And I won't lie to you, I was pretty mad. I got my phone, I chunked it like on the floor because you know what's coming. But you cry for a little bit, and you get back to work.
Was some of that disappointment the fact that you guys really thought you were gonna, just go blow for blow with the number 8 team in the country? Just really thought you were equipped to beat those guys?
Yeah, I believe we have a great team, and I feel like we have a good chance against any team in the country. They're ranked number 8 coming in, so I feel like that was our first top 10 matchup in a long time, and we're really pumped to play that game. It's a conference game. It makes it even that much more important. So, of course, the whole team was excited about it.
Sam, when you look at the USF now, and they've played 5 games, you've played 2 only. Is that fair for you guys to have so many fewer games?
With this season going on with COVID, I mean, nothing's fair if that makes sense. But we're prepared to play, and they're a good team coming in. They lost last week, but it was a real close game. So, I mean, nothing's fair, but we're ready to play.
It's obviously, we talked to Coach Monty about the challenges of being a head coach with everything so up in the air with COVID. The challenges of a player, is this the toughest season that you've ever had as a player?
Yeah, I feel like it's tough more on the mental aspect because you just don't know what's going to happen on a week-to-week basis. Because, like the first question, you're really high on playing, and then you get a text message, team meeting, saying the game's off for this week. So it's more of a mental aspect. I mean, because the uncertainty of the season it gets to you sometimes.
Because of that uncertainty, like all week when you're getting ready for a game, is it in the back of your mind that we might not play this? I mean, do you only feel safe when you're actually at the stadium for the game?
Yeah, I mean, of course, all week, all season, that's always back of your mind. Like, you try to get over it, you try not to think about it, but, just being a person, that's always in the back of your mind. Like, what if this week this is canceled? What if next week, what's the season going to look like? How are we going to finish, if we're going to finish? But, all you can do is control what you can control, and that's work hard on the practice field, and once your chance to play, you go out there and play.
Well, with your game being canceled last week, did you and several teammates get together to watch this South Florida team against Temple? And if you did, what did you see out of them?
Yeah, so all week you watched film over South Florida. As soon as the game was canceled, your focus shifts to South Florida. And as you can see, I mean, like, they're a really good team. They're experienced, they're talented, but, you know, it's gonna be a game we have to prepare for and take them seriously.
Coach said it felt like this is game one was Oklahoma State, then game one was UCF, and now this is another game one. Does it kind of feel like each game so far, because of the extended time in between, has been like a new season almost?
Yeah, we had film this morning, and Coach Lowry said that exact thing because, you know, you go in 2-3 weeks without playing a game, so it's just like, you know, you get kind of rusty, you know, little penalties, procedure penalties you have to clean up, especially during practice time. So it's hard, you know, it's got to stay focused and stay crisp, and it's hard doing that without having consistent game times, but, you know, it's got to do our best out there.
And you kind of touched on it, but I mean, is there a positive? Maybe. I mean, obviously you want to play out there. I mean, otherwise you wouldn't be throwing your phone to the ground. But is there a positive? I mean, you got 2 weeks in between all these games. I mean, extra time to, you know, I guess poke at yourselves and fix these issues, or is it all just a negative and you hate it?
Those positives. I mean, you know, playing games like week to week, it's hard to get your body back. But now we have more time to get our bodies back, more film study. So those are the two biggest positives you get out of it, in my opinion.
With that extra time, you and Zach have been able to obviously get more sync with one another on practice. How do you feel like he's been doing and you've been doing in practice to get ready for this Bulls team?
We're getting better in practice, you know, improving. And as you get a better look at their film, what they like to do on defense, we can mimic that in practice, you know, that works on timing, works on spacing, works on finding the holes in the defense. So that extra time really helps us in the whole receiving core and the whole quarterback group.
Sam, a year ago, you were in game 3, so to speak, and trying to get some rhythm with Zach. What do you see in him now that you're in game 14 or 15 with him now? How is he different? How are you different?
You know, as we both grow, more time in this offense, more time playing together, you get more comfortable with one another and more chemistry because, like, you know, we're running a route. He knows I'm going to be here on that exact time, exact step. So, like, you build chemistry from game 3 to game 14, 15, whichever one this is. You know, you build that chemistry. You're just that much more comfortable with one another.
Anything else for Sam?
I guess one final one. Does it change anything knowing that you're playing in an NFL stadium compared to just a regular college stadium? Obviously, there's not going to be as many fans as it would normally be, but just playing in an NFL environment.
I guess for me, we had film this morning. We touched on this. You know, we're going to play in the Buccaneers Stadium. It's where Tom Brady plays. So, like, it's pretty cool, you know. Like, Tom Brady was here. Mike Evans was here. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully we get a peek in their locker room or something like that. Or they're at the game or something, give me a little autograph. But
Anything else for Sam? Thank you, Sam. We'll
get
have
an autograph
Allie
if you
here in
want
a
to.
minute. All right, y'all. We've got Allie Green. Questions?
Allie, just how disappointing, mad, whatever, has it been getting these notifications, you know, right before a game? Hey, you're not playing this week.
It's very disappointing, obviously. We always want to play every game, every week, you know. Teams are out in the nation playing, and we have to watch. That's probably the biggest thing, knowing that we should have been playing at the same time or whatever, sitting at home, watching a game, or even at practice. But it's definitely disappointing for the most part.
Allie, you've talked a lot about maturity and how important that is. How important is that, especially with everything that's going on with the schedule disruptions?
You definitely have to have a mature team and guys who are mature, who can lead the team in the direction to be mature, because it's easy to lose focus. You know, when you know your end goal, which is having a game, it's probably not going to happen. But in practice, you have to have that maturity to keep things energized and focused.
When you're looking at this game coming up, you're playing a team that's played 5 games. You guys have only played 2. Is that uneven footing? Is that fair?
I mean, I think this is what we signed up for. Knowing the circumstances, I mean, they had 5 games, but we never stopped practicing, you know? So I feel like when you just go out there with with being mature and the same type of energy as you started the season with, I think that a football game is going to be a football game, really.
But in order to become the team that you guys think you are, to get better and better throughout the season, you need to play games, right?
Yes, sir. We need to play games, just see where we at. Yeah, that's probably the big thing. The no game thing is pretty disappointing, but I think we have a good team. So every time we step on the field, you know, we want to play to win.
Has this been the toughest season of your playing career, just with everything you've had to deal with and having games canceled and stuff like that?
Mentally, yeah, yes, sir. It's been a pretty tough season because it's a lot of things that we're not used to that's going on. But yeah, I'll just say mentally, yes, sir. This probably will be.
Is that due to just, I guess, the mindset that you have to get in? Because obviously you got to prepare your bodies, but then mentally prepared each week, not just for the opponent, but just getting your mind right for a game. And then it coming out of nowhere, crashing down and kind of resetting again. Is that kind of a part of it? Kind of bring me into like what it does to your mind?
To me, I feel like you have to be very locked in and have a, have a sense of maturity, because every week you're going to be watching film on the team, studying the team super hard, locked in, and just to get a call saying like, you guys are not going to play, you have to start studying for another team without even, showcasing that you know what I'm saying? So that's the tough part. You have to go to practice on a Saturday when you supposed to be having a game, How much energy are you going to really bring to the table, So you have to be mature and stay focused, stay locked in.
I guess what's been, to follow up on that one, to get that energy going. I mean, obviously from a game day, it's supposed to be live action too, knowing they're at practice, another practice. Even coach said you guys are tired of practice at this point. I guess what, is it just something from within? Is it leaders like you that have to step up and kind of get the juice going? How do you guys find that?
I feel like we all see the end goal. We all see the opportunities that we can have as a team and individually, throughout this season. So just keeping a clear mind, keeping a clear head every day at practice, knowing that the end goal is to win with your team, so you guys can be, can be what you designed to be. It gets guys going. I think they see it now, and that's like motivation to the team.
Allie, you're one of the best on the team at, let me put it this way, having discussions on the field with other players and with your own guys. Is that kind of help charge you up? Does that help motivate you? Are you just having fun? I mean, what is your approach to that?
I like to talk. I mean, I talk a lot, but like, I think that when you bring the energy to the team, because every day someone may not feel or have as much energy as you, but my goal is to bring energy every day, not for myself, but just for my team, even if I'm not feeling it. So I go out, I talk a lot, I communicate a lot, I turn people up, but that's just so whatever they have going, they know that they can bring energy. And when we get to that practice field or whatever the game field, that everybody be energetic and we can win some games.
But to follow up on that, when there is some discourse back and forth between you and opponents, it charges you up, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That makes me feel like we're competing. Like it's a matchup. As I always say, like anybody worth fighting is you're gonna get hit in a fight. So if they're not talking back or something going on, I might be winning.
Anything else for Allie? Thank you, Allie. Thank you all. Appreciate it.